Okay, so let's get started with your warm-up. Before Nina bought groceries on April 22nd, she had a balance of $487.25 in her checking account. Nina wrote her transactions in her check register. She included all her transactions through the end of the day on April 23rd. Based on the transactions in Nina's check register, what is the balance in dollars and cents in her checking account at the end of the day on April 23rd? So what we're going to do here today is go ahead and start doing the transactions and finding the balance for every transaction, after every transactions. So we're going to start with $487.25, and you're subtracting the groceries because that's money she spent, so it came out of her account. So we're going to go ahead and subtract it. So regroup. So 12 minus 5 is 7, 6 minus 2 is 4, 8 minus 7 is 1, and 4 minus 4, 0 is 4. So she is left with $414.75 after the groceries. Then she made a $15 deposit. So then I'm going to add that because it's a deposit. So that's 5, 7, 9, 2, and 4. So her ending balance is $429.75. So here for the Brain Boost bonus, what do you own? Other people use it more than you, but you rarely do. So we're going to go ahead and let you try some guesses here, and then I'll let you know at the end of the class. Okay, so today's lessons is going to be about adding and subtracting equations. If you go ahead and just go ahead and look at the one you are doing, should say one-step equation here, but yours says adding and subtracting, so I wouldn't worry about that one. So let's go ahead and put one-step equation there. They're adding and subtracting because all you're doing is adding to undo or subtract to undo. So the goal is to get the variable by itself on one side of the equation. We do this by using inverse operation. An inverse operation is just the opposite operation. Now remember, there's two rules. There's the fairness rule, and whatever you do on one side of the equation, you must do on the other side. So always remember that. Never leave it unbalanced. So we're going to use the algebra tiles, which is the x and then the negative x and then the plus and the minus. So we're going to do that for the next 5 problems. So we're going to model first and then go ahead and look to see what we need to do. Now I'm just going to model it, but then I'm going to solve it. So you really don't need to solve it with a model. You just need to make sure that you are solving it with the numbers. And that's what we're learning here today. So we're going to go ahead and put 9 negatives with the x. And then on the other side, we have 13 negatives. Okay, that's all you need. Now what I'm going to do, I'm going to solve it algebraically. So if you notice, when there's a subtraction problems, we're going to go ahead and make it into addition. Always draw the line through the equal sign. And now we're going to go ahead and add on each side 9. Because, remember, we have to isolate the variable. That means the variable has to be on one side by itself. So you're going to add 9 on both sides. Then you're left here, x. And then negative 9 and positive 9 are 0 pairs, so you cross that out. So 13 plus 9, because there's a negative and a positive, you're going to subtract them. So you're going to subtract 13 minus 9, which is 4. And because there's more of 13, then your answer is negative 4. So here, x is negative 4. So if you think about it, negative 9 plus a negative 4 will give you negative 13. So let's try the next one. The next one, again, we're going to go ahead and draw the models. So you have 3, positive, and an x. And on the other side, you have 5 negatives. So what we're going to do, because we're adding 3, the opposite is to subtract 3 on each side. Remember that line on the equal sign? So then we're subtracting 3 on each side. So now you have 3 minus 3, well, that's 0. You're left with x. Negative 5 and negative 3, because they're both negatives, you're adding them, so it's going to be negative 8. So your answer here is x equals negative 8. So if you think about it, you have positive 3 and then negative 8. When you combine them, you're going to have a negative 5. Okay, let's go to the next one. So you have negative 7 and an x. And on the other side, you have negative 10. Okay, so now what we're going to do, again, we're going to draw that line in the middle. Because it's a negative 7, the opposite would be to be a positive 7. So I'm going to go ahead and put positive 7. Then draw the line. So negative 7 and positive 7 is a 0 pair. You're left with x. So negative 10 plus 7, well, because there's a negative and a positive, then you're going to subtract, which is negative 3. So my answer here is x equals negative 3. So if you notice, all I'm doing is drawing the model. You don't need to use the model to help you solve it. You're welcome to do so, but if you don't really understand it, I don't recommend you using it. So go ahead and try the last 2, and then come back to the video and see if you got them correct. Okay, well, I'm going to show you this one because the last 2 are different. So I'm going to show you how to solve this one, and then you could solve the last one. So here again, we're gonna have to change this to have only one sign in the middle. So we have x minus a negative 8 equals 14. Well, this is the case where you do keep, change, flip. So you keep the first number, you change the minus to a plus, you change the negative to a positive, and then you leave the other side alone. So now what we're gonna do, we're gonna go ahead and draw it. So I have negative x and positive 8. And on the other side, you have 14. Okay, so we do the same thing. We always find the opposite and do the inverse operation in order for us to solve this. So again, you always put that line in the equal sign. Okay, and then you go ahead and put, because we're adding 8, we're going to subtract 8. Subtract 8. So then in this case, you have x is equal 8. 14 minus 8 is going to give you 6. Yes, 6. So my answer here, x equals 6. Well, it makes sense. 6 plus 8 equals 14. So go ahead and try the last one, then come back to the video and work it out and see if you got it correct. So with this magic that we just did, I just go ahead and when it gave you the answer, so make sure that you have the correct answer. Look at the steps I took, make sure your model is correct, and then go on to the next slide because we're going to continue working with this. I'm going to show you how to complete your classwork. So your classwork is a little bit different from what we've been doing. You've been drawing your model, but now instead you're going to go ahead and just write the equation and solve it algebraically. Now it says here to check work. This is something that you might want to do if you want to. You don't have to. I'm not going to show you how to do it. I just want you to concentrate on solving for x. So here, remember this is a balance. This means equal in the middle. So you have an x and then the 2 circles which represent the numbers. So this is going to be x plus 2 is equal to 4. So then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna draw the line in the middle where the equal is. I'm gonna subtract 2, subtract 2. Now, if I were to show it with the model, well, if I'm subtracting 2, I'm crossing those 2 out, crossing those 2 out. So I'm left with x on one side, which 2 minus 2, it cancels out, is equal to 4 minus 2 is 2. And if you notice, that's what we have after we solved it with the model. So here my answer is x equals to 2. And that's what you're going to do today's assignment. You have another assignment that you were supposed to do last week. If you need an extra copy of that, ask me for it, and I'll go ahead and give you one. So finish this, turn it in, and then go ahead and continue with the other worksheet. Good luck on everything, and if you need help, don't forget to ask me.